Hi, Chris here from Truly Holistic. In this video, we are going to talk about a few things that new findings in regards to here at Truly Holistic. So it's a bit of an updates video. First update was regarding pre-adamites. Now, pre-adamites, for anybody that's watched a program called Cosmic Disclosure or knows of Corey Good or David Wilcock, will be aware of these being called pre-Adamites. But if you haven't come across it before, now these pre-Adamite beings um, were beings that lived on Mars and also a planet that once was where Mars was. Mars was actually a moon of a planet, and this planet got destroyed. And as you'll notice in the current solar system is we have Mercury, and we have Venus, Earth, Mars, but between Mars and Jupiter there's a asteroid belt, so of rocky material. Okay, so a belt of rocky material, which we call the asteroid belt, which was once a planet, and this planet got destroyed. This was a super Earth that was bigger than our Earth, and Mars was its satellite or its moon. And this was at a time when Mars had it was green and blue. It had oceans, it had an atmosphere rich in life, as well as this hosting planet. And obviously, when this planet got destroyed, it damaged Mars and removed Mars's atmosphere, which disabled Mars's ability to hold on to water and hold on to the things that could create life, and why Mars looks the way it is now. Now, this species, the Pre-Adamites, lived on Mars and lived on that hosting on the planet. And when there was this war where it got destroyed, this particular species left and they lost a lot of their own people through this catastrophe. And they ended up traveling to our moon, and then all of a sudden they noticed there was a lot of conflict on the moon as well, and they had to retreat to the Earth. They didn't have enough technology. They'd lost a lot of their good technology, and they had to go to Earth. And once they came on Earth, they realized that there was a lot of reptilian control here on Earth, and they kind of, the very little population they had left, they kind of created kingdoms all over the planet. And one of the areas in the planet was ancient Egypt. And that's why you see with a lot of ancient Egypt, you see these beings with elongated skulls. And these were these pre-Adamite beings. And how this fits and ties with my work is that there's an entity that I've been clearing up for quite some time, which is called Ra, R-A, which is a sun god. For our history and our mythology, who's called a sun god in Egypt. Now, the connection is that Ra is a pre-Adamite, and a lot of these gods that we've had in our history in regards to Egyptian gods, Greek gods, and so on, they were deemed gods back at that time because they could do advanced things that seedling of humanity could not foresee possible. They didn't know how they did it. It was witchcraft, or it was they had this technology that no one else had at that time, and they were deemed as gods. When really they were they were high race, they were extraterrestrial, they were advanced life forms, and a lot of those life forms were reptilian. But I'm finding, especially today with clients, is that there's a pre-Adamite problem or pre-Adamite connection with some people, and Ra fits in within that pre-Adamite connection. Other things that connect in with the pre-Adamites is Rothschild, which I find within people, the Illuminati as well. Now, these secret factions, let's call families, that have a stranglehold of the connection or control on this planet, um, it's all to do with bloodlines. And a lot of the bloodlines of the Rothschild and the bloodlines of Illuminati all source back to these pre-Adamite beings. So it's quite interesting that now the dots are kind of all fitting in together. That all the parts of the puzzle are fitting in together in regards to, if I'm finding Ra within there, there'll quite often be Illuminati, there'll quite often be Rothschild as well, because it's all based around this pre-Adamite connection. And another thing is, that they're finding all these skulls and skeletal remains with these elongated skulls. If you Google about it, you see all these elongated skulls, and these were these pre-adamite beings, and these pre-adamite beings were tall. They were well over 10 foot, 12 foot in height, probably because of the gravity that they had on Mars, and also that super Earth was different to our planet. Our planet's, the amount of gravity we have, it kind of reduces the height of many things, or the gravitational is changed of this planet. And an interesting thing also with the pre-adamites is that there's excavation happening down in Antarctica at the moment, and they're kind of keeping it very hush-hush at the moment. And they're finding artifacts and new technology and all sorts of stuff underneath the ice, because at that time when the pre-adamites came to Earth, Antarctica was really a tropical paradise. There was no ice on Antarctica because it's a landmass, of course. And there's been maps, hundreds and hundreds of years old, showing Antarctica as a tropics, of trees and everything like that, without the ice. And how would they have done a map, that long time ago, unless there was something from space looking down on Antarctica? So they're finding all this technology. They've found bodies of these pre-adamites as well. There was pre-adamites lived on Antarctica as well. So that's going to be a very interesting thing, whether they drip that information out, or if there's going to be a full disclosure, which we're hoping, so we can get some truth. As you know, I'm a truth hunter. I'm always looking for the truth. So it's going to be interesting to see over the next few days, next few weeks, in regards to further input in regards to these pre-adamites, the connection they have with humanity and the people I'm working with here, and clients I'm working here at Truly Holistic. It's going to be very exciting. Other updates is that, in the way I'm looking at the core of people's problems, is we all know that the core of illnesses, physical illnesses and diseases, is inflammation. Okay, inflammation creates all these problems. Now, what about if we go a little bit further back down the rabbit hole and ask, what is causing people's inflammation? So what I'm starting to do is now, at the start of a section, asking whereabouts within particular people's bodies where there is an inflammatory problem, where there's chronic inflammation. And then once I'm finding that, we're finding all the weak areas of people's body, and then just going further down the rabbit hole to kind of find out what is at the core of that problem. And it enables me to kind of get to the problem a lot faster, to extract the whole problem out. Because, as I say, inflammation is such a big ordeal. It's an epidemic for everybody. Anti-inflammatory medications, everyone's on them. And we're realizing these medications have got really detrimental side effects to them over a period of time. So about, here at Truly Holistic, it's not about treating symptoms, it's about removing the cause of your problem. And by using these inflammatory conditions as a marker to go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole and extracting the cause of the problem is very interesting. So thought I'd give you an update in regards to what's happening here at Truly Holistic. Loving doing work with fellow healers and light workers who have got a lot of intuition, and able to use the session as a collaboration. They'll mention things that, things are popping into their mind, or things they're seeing within the session itself, and we can use that information to find out really what is at the core of their problem, and get to that problem a lot faster. So that's been very interesting, very exciting to be working with people of that nature, because as light workers, as energy people, what I'm quite often seeing is energetically you get attacked a lot more, because you're more awakened at the possibilities of what could be causing a problem, what is at the core of where all these problems come from. And a lot of these entity beings don't like that. The biggest thing that makes them so powerful is that mainstream population don't know about them. They don't want to. They want to be around in the background, manipulating humanity in a way that general population don't think about the possibility that they could be there, or could exist, and could be causing a problem to humanity. with us light workers, we're really, trying to create more awareness around, people that we love, our families, and the general population about this. And I really love every light worker out there, energy practitioner out there that are doing this. This is great work for humanity as a whole, as we are all one. And uh, you know, as things have changed, in regards to calling the soul now source, is this whole thing about, when we had this whole perception of a soul, everyone got an individual soul, when really, if we're all one, we all come from source. So again, the, the, that's why this whole thing about source makes a lot more sense in regards to where we all come from, instead of this whole soul perception, or whole soul kind of trap that's been put in front of us. Another thing I'm not doing here at Truly Holistic is addressing the chakra system. Again, it's an overlay built by the reptilians to confuse us as well. So I'm not using that. I'm not using the word soul. I'm using source now. So whatever area that is got an issue with it, is usually there'll be a dimensional issue with it. If you've got an infection in a certain area, that will be because you're in a low dimension. So probably the first dimension. We connect it back up to the dimension of love, which is the 7th dimension. And we also connect everything to source as well. So it just removes any connection to any of these beings, whether that's Zeus, whether that's Ra, whether that's something demonic or satanic, whether that's the reptilians, or whether that's the Arcturians. All of a sudden, automatically that disconnects you from them and reconnects you to source, where you need to be. So we're doing that, and we're getting some really good results, and making some changes very quickly. So I think that's about it in regards to updates, but energy things are changing all the time, and I'll have further updates as we go along, in regards to this whole ascension process, where humanity can take control again, and we can have this love energy that makes us feel so good. At times in our life, we can have this and sustain it for a longer period of time, and remove all this fear and lower kind of vibration that is really keeping us imprisoned. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.